Thank you.
Cheers.
So thanks everyone who's staying in the room despite the lures of lunch outside. I'll try to be brief and concise, so bear with me. So I would like to start the presentation by talking about what we call tech intensity. My boss, Satya Nadella, who runs Microsoft for the past 5 years, termed this. And tech intensity is about the way we change the technology discussion with our customers. So I'm with Microsoft for 20 years. I'm in the IT industry for 25 years. And I feel the last 20 years I spent time talking to IT people. I'm an IT person, and I spend time talking to IT people. But over the past 5 years, this has completely changed. We now spend most of our times talking to business people within the customer. We talk to CEOs, sales leaders, marketing leaders, product developers, and so on. And the main reason for that has to do with data. And you probably all have seen similar slides like that, slides that say the amount of data humanity is creating doubles every 18 months or so. I don't know the exact numbers, but we are creating data at an incredible speed, incredible amounts of data, and you just see some examples here. Autonomous vehicles, they create 5 terabytes of data per day when customers like BMW are testing them. So autonomous driving is one of our favorite topics as a cloud provider, not just because I'm a German, but because it's really interesting to help our customers work with that data. But you see a lot of other examples of how our customers and everybody on the planet is creating data at an incredible speed. And obviously, data is the gold of the future. It's the most important asset of any company doing digital transformation. But as Gil said this morning, once you lose data, you can never recover that trust. And as Microsoft, we are heavily investing building this trustworthy infrastructure, building data centers that enable trustworthy computing, that enable a trustworthy cloud. And I just wanted to show you 2 pictures around that, just to give you an impression what the scale of this really is. So what you can see on this picture is one of our larger data centers. It's at the US East Coast in Virginia. And this is like a mega data center. You see 2 generations of data center infrastructure here. To the left, you see classical data centers. To the right, you see a 40-foot container type data center where we just plug those elements together to be faster in how we build the data centers. And this is a huge data center, the size only very few companies on the planet can build. And on the next picture, I want to show you what our plans for the future are, basically. So this is how we made space for a really huge data center. Just to give you an impression on the speed of investments we are driving and how fast we are preparing for all that data inflow that we need to handle in a very secure and trustworthy way. But building data centers that are the foundation for a trustworthy cloud is obviously not the only thing we need to do. I chose this picture. It's actually a ship that we rented, and probably only a few people know that Microsoft is now also building global networking infrastructure. So this is a ship we rented to build sea cables, to lay sea cables across the North Atlantic. So we're building our own fiber infrastructure around the planet, the North Atlantic through the Pacific, because we feel that as a hyperscale cloud provider, we also have to build this reliable and secure and trustworthy base infrastructure. Obviously, we will not cover the whole planet with our own cables. That's not the objective here. But we feel that we need to also on the network side have a reliable and trustworthy infrastructure in place for our customers. Moving to the other extreme, I wanted to show you this picture because it ties very directly to back to security. What you can see here is the Azure Sphere device. Actually, the Azure Sphere device is just a chip that you see on the photo. It's just a chip in the middle of the board. The rest is just an evaluation board. It's a chip with a Microsoft logo on it, and this is very unusual. We are not in the chip creation business usually. The Azure Sphere device is an IoT infrastructure that's completely managed for the customer. So basically what we're building here is a Linux-based IoT device that the customer not only doesn't have to manage, the customer cannot manage the device. It's a closed device, it's completely locked down. Everything around updating, patching, securing the device, securing the communication between the device and the cloud is done by the Microsoft Cloud. And the customer will only put a piece of code on the device and say, okay, please execute that piece of code. Everything else is Microsoft's business. So we're completely unburdening the customer of taking care of security. And I think this is a really important step because many companies will just want to out-task this, want to get rid of the burden of having to manage IoT devices. They want to focus on their core business of building the logic and the infrastructure for the device. So, in summary, this leads to an effect that we call democratizing technology. We build those massive data centers, we build infrastructure, we build IoT-capable hardware, and this makes bleeding-edge technology available to anyone. And if you look at how innovation was driven in the past, it was driven by large corporations like Siemens or GE or what have you with large R&D budgets, or by very well-funded startups. But today, everybody who has a credit card has access to the same bleeding edge technologies that all the other companies have. And this completely changes the dynamics of how innovation is driven. Everybody can innovate on the latest technologies. You can get a quantum computer from the Microsoft Cloud today, even though that hardware doesn't really exist yet. But in theory, everything is available to anyone at any point. This has severe implications on security, I think, because you will see a lot of people creating applications and digital infrastructure far outside what was usually controlled by IT governance. So in our worldview, you have this intelligent cloud that we're building as the secure and trustworthy brain, and you have the intelligent edge that is comprised of all kinds of devices, of secure devices, of cell phones and what have you. You have this this concept of ubiquitous computing, where you have computing resources all over the place. And yeah, I guess this is the world you're managing every day. Tons of devices and infrastructure that is very hard to manage. And I was very excited to hear this morning Gil's strategy for making this easier for you in the future. Because if you look at this, there is simply no perimeter anymore to protect. It's this big net of interconnected things. I guess I could talk about artificial intelligence for a long time. I only have like 2 minutes for you today. Artificial intelligence is, of course, a great tool for helping you do your job in security, and Check Point is building AI-based solutions to help you. But artificial intelligence is a security topic in itself in a very interesting way. So I would like to introduce Tay to you. If you have not heard of Tay, it was the very short-lived first attempt of Microsoft to let an AI loose on the internet. So basically we created an AI, a chatbot, that was goaled on accumulating followers. So it was a conversation chatbot, it was let loose on the internet, and its goal was to find followers. And it did find followers, but in a very unexpected way. So people started feeding Tay with racist and sexist phrases. And when Tay started repeating those phrases, Tay got more followers. So in the course of 24 hours on the internet, the Microsoft Tay chatbot was a full-blown racist. So this was the unhappiest day of our PR department ever. And it was extremely embarrassing for everyone at Microsoft. But today, actually we like to talk about it because it was a great learning for us. It showed us that if you are not very cautious with things like that, if you don't think things like that to the end, if you don't think them through, you run a high risk of being manipulated. And I don't have the solution for that. It's just maybe some homework for all of us. Artificial intelligence is a cybersecurity threat in a very different way from other threats. artificial intelligence systems can be manipulated like human beings. They can be fed false learning impulses. And this is very dangerous, and we are just at the start of thinking about how we solve this. Now, if you connect that story to what Bill Clinton's son just told us 30 minutes ago, you see how big the scope of this problem is. Now, back to our daily business of cyber defense. Microsoft also runs a very broad cyber defense operation systems. We have huge telemetry from Windows, from Azure, from Office 365, from authentications in our Azure Active Directory. And I guess just like Check Point, we see the ugly truth of cybercrime in the internet every day. And we are partnering with Check Point to make that as trustworthy as possible. Because trust is the most important thing for a hyperscale cloud provider like Microsoft. People will only put their data into our cloud and into our data center if they completely trust us, both from a privacy, from a security, and from a compliance perspective. And as a company with customers around the globe and with 10 years experience in cloud computing, we know that there is zero tolerance for error. We cannot do this the wrong way once. We have to be always correct about this. And I would want to double click on Microsoft's approach to security and trust. And we have three basic pillars on that. I just talked about the intelligence that we have, how we learn from our products, how we learn from the telemetry to build better and more secure infrastructure and products. And we will always build a secure platform. I think on Gil's slide, the native cloud security was like in the lower corner. So we will always build this basic infrastructure, and we will always have a basic portfolio of security offerings. There is no point in having antivirus scanners from several vendors in the market. This will just be built into Windows for the future, because there is no differentiation in that anymore. And if there is a virus on a Windows machine, it would always come back to Microsoft. So that's why we make sure that we perform well here with the basics. But everything else, that will be partners. And Check Point is the most successful partnership that we have in the security space. And for us, there are four important components in our collaboration with Check Point. We have a very close engineering collaboration. Our engineers work with Check Point's engineers to build the very best products, and then to integrate those products as seamless as possible and build complementing offerings. We cover the basics, but everything on top of the stack, anything, as Gil called it, Gen 5, Gen 6 security, that's not something we will cover out of the box. That's something where we partner with Check Point. And the last piece I called operational convenience. That's also very important to us. We partner also from a sales and project and implementation perspective with Check Point, because we want to make it as seamless and as easy for you as possible to use our complementing products. So this highly sophisticated slides just shows how our portfolios complement. On the Azure side, you have CloudGuard IaaS and you have Dome 9. Even if it hurts me, I know that many customers will use AWS and GCP in addition to Microsoft, so multi-cloud support is very important to us. And then you have SandBlast for all your mobile applications, and then CloudGuard SaaS for complementing what we already have in terms of security features in Office 365. So this is just a rough picture of how we are working to make sure that our products work very well together for your convenience. Now on the last slide, I will do a demo. I've learned that at CPX, you can do demos without having a PC on stage. So I do a slide demo. This demo just shows you how easy it is to purchase and deploy Microsoft Check Point products in the Microsoft infrastructure. You see here two screenshots from our Microsoft AppSource marketplace, and on the right side you see the Microsoft Azure marketplace. So we want to make it very easy for you to roll out the products into Azure. There are very simple descriptions on how you can implement, for instance, CloudGuard with your Azure environment, and both from a technical as well as from a deployment and also sales, how you purchase the stuff, how you procure the stuff perspective. We try to make it as easy and as seamless as possible. So, Checkpoint is our strongest partner. We are building the secure infrastructure. We are very excited about the innovation Checkpoint brings to our cloud because the security of our customers' data is most important for us, and we count on the partnership with Checkpoint to never lose that trust. And as such, I hope you enjoy your lunch, and thank you.